And greetings everyone, I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion, and we're continuing to slog our way through Season 4 of Everybody Loves Raymond. We're going to be approaching the halfway point pretty soon of this season, and now we're going to deal with the Christmas episode of our current season, the Christmas Picture. This is one where Ray really is trying to please Marie. And as we've seen over the last couple seasons, that is very hard and nigh impossible to do. Especially when you're trying to think of the perfect gift. Which they do reference at one point in the episode. And it's something that you can really identify with. Whether you're a son, sibling, significant other. It's like, what do I get them for Christmas, birthday, whatever other celebration you want to put in there? You want the gift to be perfect, or at least something they enjoy. And if you finally find the right one, you don't want it to be ruined, especially if you have not been the best at picking out gifts. And in typical sitcom and Everybody Loves Raymond fashion, something does ruin it. Now this is an episode that is written by Lou Schneider, and he actually cameos in the episode as Steve the photographer. So nice to actually be able to put more of a face and voice to him, and like, oh, that was him? I did not know that. Longest time, I didn't really read the credits on it. Now, the plot of the episode, as I've already talked about, is about Ray getting Marie the perfect gift. It is a family portrait photo of the immediate family. You know, Ray, Debra, the kids, Frank, Robert, Marie. And it's something that she told him she wanted. And he wants it to be perfect. He sets it up. But everyone else is kind of like a little, Like, Robert even scoffs on it. Like, who wants that? Deborah's like, oh, it's a little stupid. I mean, we're already spending all of Christmas with him. Why do we got to do this? It's just going to be a reminder of a bad day. But she relents and decides to go along with it. The day comes. Everything is getting ready. Ray's like, okay, we're going to do this. But then he starts to get nervous and nitpick everything. You know, it gets on Robert when Robert shows up in his uniform. Even though when you walk in, you see he has the bag. So it's like, instead of like going, what are you doing in that? You would think the proper response would be like, clothes? Yeah, all right, good. But instead he gets on that. But considering how high-strung Ray is normally, and then add this on top of it, you can see why he jumps down his brother's throat at first. But then everything takes a right turn when Debra's parents show up, Lois and Warren. And that changes the whole mood you could feel of the characters. Everything seems to go nice, but the moment they see them, you can definitely tell Marie, she goes from her nice thing to like, what in the world is this? And Ray is like, oh, fudge. To reference A Christmas Story. And we find out Debra's the one that invited them all. Now, part of her reasoning does make sense. And that's because Ray said family photo. Her parents are part of the family, so family photo. Now, the part where Debra does lose any sympathy for this is that, one, she didn't give Ray a heads up. So it's a surprise for him, too. And there's not really a lot in the episode where you can say that he kind of deserved the surprise. The only thing is maybe not supporting Debra's idea that she brings up to Marie earlier, and that is changing how they do Christmas. Instead of doing one year her parents, 1 year the Barones, and keep alternating. Instead, start their own new tradition. And that is doing Christmas Eve with their parents and Christmas Day at their house. And then, of course, having to leave early morning and get there at 10. Which I can understand why she'd want to do her own new tradition, wanting to see her family. And then see the family she's always with afterwards. Especially since, you know, they've been married almost 10 years come this season. So it's like they should probably start their own Christmas tradition. And then, you know, like segue some of the other stuff into it. But then create something new. I mean, they are the melding of two families, as we saw in the wedding, so they should have their own tradition. Ray does nothing to support her with this. You know, Marie is like, you're taking this away from me. I want to see them wake up and see their faces and all that. Which, from the grandparents' perspective, you can get why Marie would feel that. And you can understand, with Ray not supporting it, why Debra would be upset with it. However, that does not excuse the fact that she invited her parents for the photo without at least giving Ray a heads up. Because for one thing, this is a gift. This is a gift Ray is setting up to give. If you're going to do that, at least give him the heads up so he can modify it or at least warn his mother. And since this is a gift for her, she kind of set the parameters, even though it's supposed to be a gift. It's how Marie is. She always wants to set the parameters for everything. If she wanted it just to be the Barones, as in, the immediate family, it should only be the immediate family. Even though there's one part with that, which I'll mention in a little bit, that's like, oh my God, Marie, you and your passive aggressiveness. Being that it should be the only Barones ones, you can understand why she's upset that Warren and Lois show up. But at the end of the day, it does turn out to be both an immediate family on both sides, so it's still a good gift, but not what she wanted. And she even says it at the end. He's like, but this is not the present I wanted. Well, Marie, sometimes that's how it goes. Get back onto the side thing that I just mentioned. The other thing that Marie mentioned, get back on that little side tangent I just mentioned. Amy, while not seen, is mentioned a couple times in the episode. Mainly in the context of why is she not in the photo. And Marie even says it's a Barone family Christmas photo. Is she a Barone? When you make her one, she'll be in the picture. And of course, Robert has the best reaction that you can expect to this. Don't pressure me! Because we've already seen what happens when you try to pressure him into marrying her. And plus the fact she goes to family functions anyway, and even when she wasn't with Robert, she's kind of like a member of the family, how close she's gotten to everyone in the last couple of years, so why isn't she in the photo? Besides, wanting to include her in the photo might make her feel more included, which might speed up them getting married. Hint, hint. But alas, it doesn't happen. I wonder if it's behind the scenes reasons, like Monica was a little busy that weekend. That's probably my guess, or they just don't want to put her in there. I mean, they already had her in the previous episode in a non-speaking role, just sitting in the audience. Nice little bit of visual continuity, as I mentioned in last week's video. So her not being there, like, alright, but I'm trying to imagine what she could possibly do in this one that she didn't do better a couple episodes ago. Now, Lois and Warren, they're just there to do their usual shtick. It's toned down a little bit from when we first saw them, but season 1, you're still feeling everything out, so here they got it. Some other thing, them talking about a trip they're going to go on, Warren telling Frank off screen about his newest collection, them reacting to Ray at the end. Because Ray, he's trying to fix everything throughout this whole middle part of the episode, trying to wrangle every single Barone to try to fix their issues. It's like, Amy can't be in there, and they can, Robert says. Marie just sitting in the corner sulking, trying to placate Debra. It's like, please be in the photo. Urgh. The only one of the adult Barones who seems to have no major issues with how the photo is going out is Frank, until they're actually putting them in the photo and he has to stand next to Warren. Other than that, it's just him wanting to get it over with and not wanting to deal with Warren and Lois anymore. He seems to be the most sensible one, which, given what we've seen Frank do and what we'll see him do in the future, is saying something. When Frank is the most sensible of the Barones, there's something wrong with the situation. And he's the one that Ray doesn't even have to snap at the end. Which Ray snapping at everyone at the end, given what we see him having to wrangle, it's not a surprise. He's trying to keep everything together, trying to placate, and the fact that he snaps after having that little emotional outburst with Debra, you understand it, and Ray does a good job of playing this. Get back in your place! And that whole scene where he's snapping at everybody, throwing a hissy fit, as Robert would call it, but it's one that's logical. And of course leading to a nice little epilogue moment where Robert starts making snide comments that actually gets everyone to legit smile. Even Marie's doing a little small one in the photo, which we do get to see how some of the photos come out. So it's like, oh, they could always just, Photoshop a couple of them. Take the smile from that one, take the thing from that one, put them in there, make the perfect family portrait photo. One little detail I like is that the photographer, Steven, actually used to photograph crime scenes, and he did work with Robert on occasion. But given how much... One little detail that I do like is the fact that Steven, the photographer, used to photograph crime scenes, which, when he mentions that to Ray, gets a little nice, dark one-liner from him. Oh, they're not going to be as quiet as your other clients. Just love dark humor like that, when they could put it in there and people will go, ooh. But, photograph crime scenes, so logically he did work with Robert on occasion. And from the dialogue between them, it was before he became a sergeant, back when he was just a street cop. which has been a couple years, nicely, their little reminiscence, like, I haven't seen you. Then them talking about the last case they worked together, and just the way Robert says it. Brad Garrett plays this perfectly. Oh, that's right, decapitation. Then they're reminiscing. It's like, once you've seen enough bodies and stuff like that, you're probably able to talk about a blasé with someone else they used to work with. Of course, eventually things are going to catch up with Robert in a certain regard, but that's going to be later this season when we're talking about his whole little mini arc involving El Toro. I do love the references to previous gifts that is made in the dialogue. Ray mentions a lot of them specifically. The Fruit of the Month Club, the toaster. I believe they mentioned the aquarium at one point, even though that gift was for Frank and not Marie, but still bringing it up. It's like, Marie had issues with it. It was becoming a career, Raymond. So she had to give her opinion about it, even though it was a gift for Frank. But there's that. And of course that leads to the whole thing with Ray snapping that I've already gone over. But another little thing is that they don't mention it by name, but Frank does reference the fact he doesn't like getting pets as gifts, which connects back to the aquarium and how he turned on the gift once he found out how much the fish cost after one of them died. And of course it's like, I hate people who give pets. Of course it's like, you're old, I find you boring, talk to a bird. I think that's just him throwing that in there as a reason for why he doesn't want a pet again. And also subtly reminding Ray, like, remember what happened the last time you got us a pet? You stupid stinking hump. Overall, this is a pretty fun episode. The holiday episodes for the show always seem to be some of the better of the season. That's because, given the nature of this sitcom, you're able to draw from real life to create funny little scenarios that this family has to go through. And it just seems that holiday writing with situation comedies involving family just seems to be a lot easier. Even if you don't get very, very social commentary like some other ones like All in the Family do, you can come up with relatable situations that the audience is going, oh yeah, I can imagine that. It's like, ooh, cannot imagine how I'd react if I was in Ray's situation here. And those make for some of the better episodes, and this is definitely one of my favorite episodes of this season. And if this was after a bad episode, this would definitely be a major palate cleanser. But since it is not following a bad episode, it doesn't have that, but it's still a nice little one to watch and go, oh yeah. Maybe one of these days down the road I'll do a video ranking the Christmas and Thanksgiving episodes. And maybe I'll do that like near the end of this whole run. Just a little food for thought for somewhere down the line. And of course, the holiday episodes are ones I definitely as a whole would recommend you show somebody who wants to get into the show and you want to show how the family react to certain things. Especially if you want to show them how Marie can be passive-aggressive. This is another good one to throw on that list. And show that Ray, he's not always just going to be the little mama's boy. That's a nice little thing about this episode. Even though the gift is for Marie and he's trying to placate her, he does kind of force her to go into the photo and he does snap, so that shows that he can only be pushed so far. At least it's not to the one bad day level of far. And if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe down below. If you want to support the channel, the Patreon link is also down below. If you join the Patreon, you're going to be able to suggest topics for future videos. And you'll also gain access to them early. And if you want to do a one-off donation to the channel or want to do a one-off request, the PayPal link is also down below. Till next time, guys.